everyone, welcome to the channel. This is Kritika. So today we'll be learning about some useful tips on Git. So let's start. Git tips and best practices will help you work more effectively with Git. Whether you're using it for personal projects or collaborating with a team, Git can be a powerful tool when used in conjunction with these guidelines. Right? So, Git tips. If we practice some of the tips for the Git, so that we can work more effectively. Whether if we are working for the personal projects or we are working with the team, collaborating with the team, so that these tips will help us to work effectively. So this is a powerful tool where we if we practice some of these tips, it will make us to work more effectively, right? So here are some useful tips and best practices for working with Git. So first is the descriptive commit messages. So when making a commit, we have to use a clear and a descriptive commit messages, which explains what the commit does and why it is made, which makes it easier for the other people, for the other team members to know what modification has made to the file, right? So so if we have modified some of the files in the project, so if we're adding that, we have to commit the file to the remote repository. So while committing the files, we have to give a descriptive message which explains what are the changes has made or which file change has made, so that the other collaborators in the team can understand what are the changes has made, right? So the next one is the frequent commits. Make smaller, more frequent commits rather than large, infrequent ones. This makes it easier to track the evolution of your project and isolate issues if they are arise. If we are modifying some of the smaller things in the file, so if we are it is very helpful if we commit it more frequently, so that the changes can be tracked in the project, so that people can understand what all the details of the changes made to the file, right? So the next is branch naming conventions. Use a consistent branch naming convention. For example, feature slash for feature branches, bug fix slash for bug fix branches, and hotfix slash for urgent fixes. This helps organize your branches. So now when we are committing the files to the repository, so it is necessary, if we have any of the errors, if we get any of the errors in the code which we have already committed to the repository, it we work on the multiple branches, it will be very helpful for the people to understand, the other people in the team to understand what all are the errors we have got, what all are have been fixed, or what we have to fix, right? So that if we create a multiple branches in the repository, for example, if we are featuring something new features, so we can create a new branch called feature slash, which wherein the other people can understand what all are the new features we are adopting, right? So if we are fixing any of the errors, any of the bugs, so we can create a, different branch called bug fix, wherein you can enter all the changes or all the fixes which have made in the same branch, in the respective branch, right? So hot fix with the urgent fix. If any of the urgent fixes have to be done, so if we are creating a different branch for that, so it helps people to understand the changes or the functionalities or any of the modification made. So it tracks each and everything in detail, which helps to organize the branches, right? So the next is code reviews. Use Git for code reviews. Collaborators can create pull requests or merge requests or on platforms like GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket. Code reviews improve code quality and knowledge sharing. Right? Code review is a one of the tip wherein if you use code reviews, it helps the other team members in the team to understand, to they can create a pull request or they can create a merge request on the platforms. So we have a platform, we have a Git platforms called GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket. So many of them mostly use GitHub. So the collaborators in the team, they can request for the pull request, or they can request for merge. They can also code reviews, which helps to improve the quality of the code, and it also is very useful. So it shares the knowledge. The people can also know, all the members of the team can know what is happening. So it is a knowledge sharing, right? So the next is the branch cleanup. Periodically clean up and delete branches that are no longer needed. This helps keep your repository tidy and makes it easier to find and work on relevant branches. So branch cleanup is very necessary, which helps us to know which are not needed, which is needed, right? So we have to periodically, gradually, we have to clean up which are the branch we no longer needed. So it helps the repository to keep it clean. So we can keep the repository clean, and it is easier to find. It is easier to find any of the things which we have to, and work on a relevant branches. Right? So the next is git ignore. So create and maintain a file called git ignore file to specify which files or directories should be ignored by Git. This keeps unnecessary files out of version control. So, it is very needed. It is very helpful to create a file called git ignore. The git to know which directories are not needed or which files are not needed. So we can add those files or directories to the git ignore folder, and which helps us to keep away from the unnecessary files out of a version control. Correct. So the next is conflict resolution. To learn how to resolve merge conflicts gracefully. Conflicts can happen when multiple people make changes to the same file. Understanding how to resolve conflict is crucial for smooth collaboration. So conflict resolution in this, if a team is working on the same project, there will be a multiple people, wherein if they are making the changes at the same time, so many of the changes will be happening in the project when people make changes to the same file. So some of the conflicts will be occurring, right? So what we have to do, we have to keep the repository up to date by pulling changes from remote repository. So we have to understand the conflict first. Git makes the conflicts so visible, so the in the special marker, right? So Git gives us in a special marker, we can understand what is the conflict. So, and then review the conflict and decide what changes have to be done. So we have to review the conflict. We have to know like what changes have to be done, like needed changes, and we can discard whichever is not needed. Like the manually resolve the conflict, and we can edit it. So we can edit it manually, and we can resolve the conflict. So we can then test that and ensure if it is correct or not. Then we can add it to the Git. So this is how it helps us to keep it clean, right? The next step is backup and recovery. Regularly backup your Git repository to prevent data loss. Additionally, understand how to recover a Git repository from a backup if necessary. So backup and recovery is most important, wherein it regularly backup helps the Git repository to prevent the data loss, the whatever the files or whatever the data we have added to the remote repository. So if we are taking a regular backup on that, so that we don't lose the files, or the we don't lose any of the important data. Right. Additionally, so we have to understand how to recover a Git repository from a backup, so it will be necessary for that. Right. The next one is learn Git branching strategies. Explore branching strategies like Git Flow, GitHub Flow, or Git Lab Flow to manage feature development and releases effectively. So Git branching strategies are like Git Flow, GitLab Flow, or GitHub Flow. Each branching strategy has its own strengths, and it is suitable for different development workflows. Right? Choosing the right strategy, it actually depends on the project, which what the project needs. So we have to choose the right strategy for the respective project, right? Then use Git hooks. Git allows you to use pre-commit and post-commit hooks to automate tasks like code formatting, linting, and testing. So basically, we have two types of Git hooks. One is a pre-commit hook, and one more is the post-commit hook. So Git hooks helps streamlines the development process by automating routine tasks and maintaining code quality, right? Making them a valuable tool for consistency and efficiency. So using Git hooks helps us to maintain the quality of the code and making them a valuable and efficient. Right. The next is the version control beyond code. So version control beyond code. Consider using Git for version control beyond code, such as managing configuration files, documentation, or more. So using Git for version control beyond code, applying Git to manage configuration files and documentation and various other types of files. So this allows to trade the changes, collaboratively track the changes, collaborate it effectively, and maintain a history of the wide range of the digital assets. Right, not just code. Git flexibility and branching capability makes it a good, valuable tool for managing different kind of files. So that's it for today. These are some of the tips to practice on Git, wherein to work more effectively on the projects in the Git. So thank you so much for watching the video, guys. Please subscribe, like, and share the video.